only 50.
In 1956 then, Olga, you and a number of others left your home country and escaped across the border. How did it feel to be leaving your parents, your sisters, or your brothers and your family behind?
It was very hard. But then again, being 17 years old like I was, it is easier to face whatever the unknown and to make a life for yourself somewhere else. I'd imagine people who were older had their family, you know, they were married there and had their children there. They would have found it much more harder to break away, you know. But it was hard. Of course, it's when you're actually out here for a while. That's when the homesickness gets you, and that's when you know, you get letters from home and you see pictures and you read about it in papers. Yeah, the homesickness catches you, all right. You know?
So you were able to keep in contact with your people even though you had left the country?
Oh, I was. But they were looking for me for 2 years. My mother was sending me the newspaper clippings. They maintained that I was chief of police days.
Right.
Not in my country, but up in Budapest. Whether I did or not, I couldn't tell you. All I know is I had a gun and I was shooting, same as everybody else was.
You were prepared to defend yourself anyway, Olga?
I was even prepared to die, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have minded.
And what was the most remarkable incident that prompted you to leave the country? You know, what really tipped the balance against staying as opposed to coming away from it?
Well, I suppose I knew without realizing that I knew that nothing was going to change. You know, that the uprising wasn't strong enough to overthrow the government to such an extent that the Russians will have to clear out. You know, I knew it couldn't, because it was mostly in Budapest and smaller places, and around Budapest mostly. The revolution didn't affect the whole country. That was the problem. Maybe if everybody got up in arms, the whole country together, maybe we would have had more chance to get rid of the Russians.
And of course, the Russian soldiers were merciless in their treatment of the people. They didn't show any great remorse in shooting or killing anybody.
Oh God, they were. Well, all I remember is that I was walking along, and there were shooting going on. I was walking along, and the young child he couldn't have been more than maybe 4 or 5 years of age, and he was shouting, crying for his mother. And I've seen that Russian soldier mow him down from top to toe with a machine gun. Now that is when I got into it, because before that I didn't know how to, or what to do, or how to get into it. But that made up my mind, because if it was a grown-up they slaughtered or something, well, it was something but an innocent child. No, I couldn't. I went and I got the gun, and because there were people there who were revolutionary.
Olga, leaving your country with a group of people was a very high-risk strategy. There was a possibility that you could be captured and executed or thrown in prison or whatever.
Definitely, because we were traveling by we were traveling by train just so far towards the Austrian border, and there the man who was bringing us, he said, well, I couldn't go any further, but he told us which way to go, and he also warned us that there was a wood. There were the farmers' land, all ploughed up, but beside it there was a wood. And he told us to be very careful. Now, I can't remember how many of us were there that time, but we were quite a few of us. And he told us that there were Russians and Hungarian soldiers in the woods, to be very careful, to be extremely quiet, going as quiet as we could be. And we were at the canal that was made. It was a man-made canal. That was the border between Austria and Hungary. And we were on the banks of it. And I never forget the rockets, the prayers was going up. The flares were going up there, and of course everything was bright, and as the flare went up, down we went into the grass. So we were up and down we were going. And there was one misfortunate young man, and he told us that he'll go across the canal and he'll get help. And God love him, he drowned, because it was November and it was very cold, frosty, and he got cramp in his.
So he lost his life in his
He lost his life trying to get us and himself across.
And how did you eventually get across the canal, Olga?
Well, eventually, a Hungarian soldier came down in a little boat. That was just, the length of it was just a width of the canal. He came down, and I wouldn't like to say what he was saying, but he was cursing us for not following the flare, not going up the bank of the canal further up, because there was a little bridge, a footbridge, and they were guarding us. And he came down in the boat and so went in. He cursed us out of it anyway, and at the end he turned the boat so that one end of the boat was to the other side of the canal. And one by one we went over us. So we asked him what was he going to do, was he going to get into trouble, because he was helping us. He said, not at all. He said, as soon as you're over, he said, we'll go. So that's how we got over.
And how did it feel to finally put your feet on Austrian soil? You were then out of Hungary and you were safe as well.
Oh yes, we were safe. And that was the exact time that I threw the pistol into the canal.
You got rid of your firearm, Olga.
I did. I was carrying it because, well, I wouldn't have minded to die in the revolution. A lot of other people have died. But to be maybe shot dead like a dog or something, no, I was too proud for that. Whatever.
So you were quite prepared to use the firearm?
I was, either on them or myself. And I threw the gun into the canal, and it is still there somewhere.
And when you got on Austrian soil and when they organised a group of you, how did you begin to learn that you were being moved on across Europe and eventually to Ireland, or did you find that out at all?
Well, now, I can't be exact about the date, but we were about a week in Austria, or something like that. And of course Austria couldn't cope with all of us. I mean, thousands and thousands of them were gone in there. And Austria, of course, is only a small little country itself. And they asked the various countries, Italy and Ireland and various other countries, to take us in for 6 months to ease the hardship in there. So I remember Dr. McCann, the army doctor of Knockalisheen, and himself, and some of the Red Cross. I think it was a Mr. Murphy and a Miss, what was her name? Miss, I can't remember the girl's name, but they were there from the Red Cross. And we were brought here for 6 months. I am 53 years after, I'm still here.
And when you arrived in Ireland, Olga, at Knockalisheen, which of course was a former army camp.
That's right.
It was hardly the Berkeley Court or the Savoy Hotel, I'd say, at that stage.
Oh my God. I never forget it. All the way from Austria, now, travelling first class, and every so often the train stopped in different stations. And of course everybody knew that Hungarian refugees were coming. Oh my God, we were treated like VIPs all the way. Everything they could give us, we got. And of course we came from Austria, we came into Ostend in Belgium, from there to Dover, and from Dover, from Ostend to Dover we came into America, I beg your pardon, we came into England on a boat. There we were taken to Heathrow airport, where we were treated nice, everything nice that you could imagine, food wise. Then we were put on the plane again and brought into Shannon. And that's where our good little stoves, doing the heating in that.